The sensor arrays across Coalition Station Omega-7 screamed in unison, their harmonic wail sending ripples of panic through the control center. Commander Threxval, a four-armed Korthian whose species had monitored the galactic frontier for 3 centuries, watched his displays with mounting disbelief. "Impossible," he whispered, his translator barely catching the word. The spatial anomaly had appeared without warning, a tear in the fabric of space that shouldn't exist according to every known law of physics. What emerged from that impossible wound made Threxval's blood run cold. It was a ship, but calling it merely a ship was like calling a supernova merely bright. The vessel stretched nearly 8 kilometers from bow to stern, its angular hull painted in colors that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Massive symbols adorned its flanks, symbols that the station's ancient databases identified with growing alarm. UNSS Valiant, a human warship. One that had vanished 847 standard years ago. "Get me high command," Threxval ordered, his voice steadier than his hands. "Now." Across the galaxy, the Galactic Coalition Council convened an emergency session for only the 14th time in 2 millennia. Holographic representatives from hundreds of species filled the vast chamber, their collective anxiety palpable. Ambassador Kaleth of the Meridian Collective spoke first, his crystalline body refracting the chamber's light into nervous patterns. "The humans have been part of our coalition for barely 2 centuries. They control 17 star systems. Their fleet consists of outdated corvettes and system defense platforms. How is this possible?" "The vessel matches historical records from humanity's first expansion era," reported the Archon Intelligence, a distributed AI consciousness older than most civilizations present. "During that period, humanity possessed technology we believed lost when their homeworld experienced the Great Silence." Admiral Korshana, a veteran Vrexian whose scales bore the scars of countless battles, leaned forward. "I've studied human military history. Before the Silence, they were different, more aggressive, more innovative. They built things that frightened even them." "Then why hide this capability?" demanded Kuleth. "Why appear weak for 2 centuries?" "Perhaps," offered a quiet voice, "they weren't hiding anything." The chamber fell silent as Dr. Emily Sato stepped forward. At 38 years old, she was humanity's youngest senior ambassador and one of the few humans with security clearance high enough to attend emergency sessions. Her dark eyes swept the chamber with calm determination. "We didn't know," she continued. "The Valiant was lost during the Silence. All records indicated it was destroyed. If it has returned—" She paused, choosing her words carefully. "Then we're as surprised as you are." The UNSS Valiant maintained its position at the system's edge, silent and imposing. Coalition scout ships, keeping what they hoped was a respectful distance, reported the impossible. The Supercarrier wasn't just functional. Its power signatures suggested reactors running at optimal capacity. Its shield envelope could theoretically withstand sustained fire from an entire Coalition battle group, and it was waking up. "Multiple launch signatures," a sensor operator shouted on Station Omega-7. 36. No, 48 smaller vessels deploying from the Valiant's hangar bays. Threxval watched the tactical display transform into a constellation of new contacts. Each vessel moved with predatory grace, executing maneuvers that should have torn them apart under conventional physics. They weren't attacking, not yet, but their formations spoke of deadly competence. "Those are fighter craft," breathed Threxval, each one outputting power equivalent to our destroyer-class ships. A communication channel opened, crackling with centuries-old encryption protocols that the station's systems struggled to decode. When the voice finally came through, it carried the weight of ages. "Coalition Station Omega-7. This is Captain Marcus Chen of the United Nations Starship Valiant." The words were formal, almost archaic in their precision. "We have been away. We request updated navigational data and status of Earth." The control center froze. A human asking about Earth implied they didn't know humanity had moved beyond their cradle world, hadn't experienced the Great Silence, hadn't rebuilt from near extinction. They were from before. Threxval's hands trembled as he opened a return channel. "Captain Chen, this is Station Commander Threxval. Stand by for data transmission and—" "Welcome back." Dr. Sato received the encrypted message. During her emergency transport to Station Omega-7, her credentials had been temporarily elevated. She would lead first contact with the Valiant's crew. As she read the preliminary analysis, her blood turned cold. The ship's technology wasn't just advanced, it operated on principles that modern human science had barely theorized. Quantum manipulation beyond anything in coalition databases, energy systems that seemed to violate thermodynamic laws, weapons that, according to fragmentary scans, could crack planets. Her people had built this. Humans. Before the silence had nearly destroyed them, before they'd crawled back to relevance over 8 centuries, before they'd joined the coalition as junior partners with outdated technology and desperate hope, the question burning in her mind and surely in the minds of every coalition leader, watching was simple but terrifying. If humans from before the silence could build something like the Valiant, what else had humanity forgotten how to do? Her transport jumped to faster than light, racing toward Station Omega 7. Behind her, the Coalition Council had erupted into urgent debate. Ahead, a ghost ship from humanity's past waited with answers that might reshape the entire galaxy. And somewhere deep in her ancestral memory, Emily Sato felt something stir, a pride she hadn't known she'd lost. Dr. Emily Sato's diplomatic shuttle approached the UNSS Valiant with a mixture of reverence and dread. Through the viewport, the Supercarrier dominated her vision, a monument to human ambition from an age she'd only read about in fragmentary histories. "Docking clearance granted," came Captain Chen's voice. "Still carrying that strange formality. Bay 17, welcome aboard, Dr. Sato." The shuttle bay alone could have housed Station Omega 7's entire defense fleet. As the airlock cycled, Emily steadied her breathing. She'd negotiated with 7 alien species, brokered 3 trade agreements, and once talked down a Vrexian war chief from orbital bombardment. But meeting humans from before the silence, her own ancestors, in a way, terrified her more than any alien encounter. The inner door opened to reveal a reception committee that made her heart skip. They stood in formation, dressed in uniforms that belonged in museums, deep navy blue with gold trim, insignias she recognized from old Earth military traditions. But it was their bearing that struck her, confidence bordering on arrogance, the posture of people who'd never known defeat, never experienced the humbling that came with near extinction. Captain Marcus Chen stepped forward. He appeared to be in his 40s, though Emily knew that meant nothing with the medical technology of his era. His dark eyes assessed her with the precision of a tactical computer. "Dr. Sato," he said, extending his hand in an ancient gesture. "You'll forgive our confusion. Our last recorded date was April 3rd, 2347. We entered what we believed would be a 3-month survey of the Kronos anomaly. Our chronometers indicate we've been gone for 847 years. Emily shook his hand, noting the strength in his grip. "Captain, I'm afraid I have news that will be quite difficult." The briefing room was a marvel of old technology, holographic displays that modern humanity had abandoned for more efficient quantum interfaces. Command chairs designed for human physiology, without the ergonomic accommodations for other coalition species. Everything spoke of a time when humanity had designed for themselves alone. Emily's presentation was brutal in its honesty. The Great Silence, the collapse of human civilization across 200 star systems, the death of Earth's biosphere, the desperate centuries of survival, humanity's slow climb back to a minor position in a galaxy dominated by the coalition. Captain Chen's crew listened in stoic silence, but Emily could see the emotional toll. Commander Sarah Okonkwo, the Valiant's executive officer, blinked away tears when Emily described Earth's current state. A carefully maintained memorial world, habitable but haunted by the ghosts of 15 billion dead. "We survived," Emily concluded softly. "That's what matters. We rebuilt. We're part of something larger now. The coalition gives us protection, trade, knowledge." "Protection." Chen's voice was quiet but sharp. "From what?" "From ourselves initially," Emily admitted, "and from species that might have taken advantage during our weakness." Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka, the Valiant's tactical officer, pulled up a holographic display. "Dr. Sato, I've been reviewing the data you provided about coalition fleet capabilities. With respect, your protection consists of ships that wouldn't survive 5 minutes against our screening elements." The bluntness stung, but Emily couldn't argue. She'd seen the tactical simulations. The Valiant's fighter craft alone, now numbering 72 active units, outclassed anything in Coalition arsenals. We're grateful for our alliance with the Coalition, Emily said carefully. But I won't lie to you, Captain. The galaxy has changed. Humanity has changed. We learned hard lessons about hubris and overreach. Chen stood walking to the viewport that overlooked the vast hangar bays. And yet here we are. A ship full of humans who remember what we were capable of. What do you think the Coalition expects us to do, Dr. Sato? They're afraid, Emily answered honestly. You represent a version of humanity they've never encountered. One that built weapons they don't understand. That explored space they consider impossible to navigate. They're wondering if you're a threat. Are we? The question hung in the air like a blade. Emily met Chen's gaze steadily. That depends entirely on what you choose to do next. Back on Station Omega-7, the Coalition's response fleet was assembling with record speed. 17 battle cruisers, 43 destroyers, support vessels numbering in the hundreds. Admiral Korshana commanded the operation with grim efficiency, while privately hoping it wouldn't come to conflict. The Valiant hasn't made aggressive moves, cautioned Ambassador Kuleth, his crystalline form flickering with anxiety. Perhaps we're overreacting. Korshana's scales rippled, the Vrexian equivalent of a bitter laugh. They haven't needed to be aggressive. 3 hours ago, one of their fighter craft intercepted our scout probe at the system's outer edge. The pilot, flying a machine 8 centuries old, executed maneuvers our best commanders couldn't replicate with modern equipment. Then transmitted a simple message. Please maintain respectful distance. It wasn't a threat. It was a statement of fact. The tactical display showed both fleets, Coalition forces forming a cautious perimeter, the Valiant serene at its center, its fighter screen moving in patterns that looked almost playful. They're testing us, Korshana continued, showing restraint while demonstrating capability. It's what I would do. So what's our move? The Admiral's expression was thoughtful. We wait, and hope that Dr. Sato succeeds in whatever she's attempting. Because if these humans decide they don't like how the galaxy has treated their descendants, she gestured at the tactical display, all our ships won't make a difference. Aboard the Valiant, Captain Chen made a decision that would reshape human history. Dr. Sato, he said, his voice carrying the weight of command. I'd like to address the Coalition Council, all of it, and I'd like you standing beside me when I do. Emily felt her heart race. Captain, they'll see that as exactly what it is, Chen interrupted. A message. Humanity isn't what you've become, Dr. Sato. But it's also not what we were. It's time to show them what it could be. Through the viewport, stars gleamed with ancient light, witnessing the moment when humanity's past and present finally collided. The Coalition Council chamber had never been so full. Every species with voting privileges attended in person rather than holographically, a testament to the gravity of the moment. The tension was palpable, a living thing that crackled through the assembled representatives like electrical current. Dr. Emily Sato stood at the speaker's platform, acutely aware that she was about to introduce a version of humanity that most in this chamber feared. Behind her, the massive display wall flickered to life, showing Captain Marcus Chen aboard the Valiant's bridge. Honored members of the Galactic Coalition, Emily began, her voice steady despite her racing heart. I present Captain Marcus Chen of the United Nations Starship Valiant, representing humanity as it was during our first expansion era. Chen's image dominated the chamber. He stood in full dress uniform, ramrod straight, with Commander Okonkwo and Lieutenant Tanaka flanking him. The symbolism wasn't lost on anyone. This was a military vessel addressing a political body, and everyone knew it. Members of the Coalition, Chen began, his voice carrying the authority of someone used to commanding thousands. 847 years ago, my crew and I embarked on a scientific mission. We believed we'd be gone 3 months. Instead, we vanished into an anomaly that has only now released us. We returned to find our civilization nearly destroyed, our homeworld dead, and our descendants reduced to a shadow of what humanity once was. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Ambassador Quilleth's crystalline body flickered with agitation. Chen continued, his tone measured but firm. I've reviewed the historical records Dr. Sato provided. I've seen what the Great Silence did to Earth. I've read about humanity's desperate survival, our slow rebuilding, our acceptance into this coalition as junior partners. He paused, and Emily saw something dangerous flash in his eyes. And I've noted how the coalition has kept humanity carefully contained. 17 systems. Limited military capacity. Trade agreements that favor established powers. Captain Chen. Kuleth began, but Chen raised a hand. I'm not finished, Ambassador. My crew and I have had extensive discussions over the past 6 hours. We've debated our options. The Valiant carries technology that could reshape galactic power structures. We have weapons that could enforce any demands we might make. We have knowledge that modern humanity has lost. The chamber fell deathly silent. Emily's hand moved imperceptibly to the comm device in her pocket, a panic button that would signal coalition security forces. She prayed she wouldn't need to use it. Chen's expression softened slightly. But we've also had the privilege of meeting Dr. Sato, of learning about the humans who survived the silence, who rebuilt with humility and patience, who learned to work with other species rather than dominating them. He looked directly at Emily, and she saw something unexpected in his eyes. Respect. They learned lessons we never had the chance to learn. Lessons bought with unimaginable suffering. Commander Okonkwo stepped forward. We could force a new arrangement. We could demand that humanity be given greater status, more systems, more power. The Valiant alone could probably enforce those demands. But we won't, Lieutenant Tanaka added, because that would betray everything our descendants fought to build. Everything they survived to achieve, Chen nodded. Instead, we offer this. The Valiant and its crew place ourselves under joint human coalition authority. We will share our technology, carefully with appropriate safeguards. We will train modern human forces in capabilities they've lost, and we will serve as a bridge between humanity's past and its future. Admiral Korshana stood, her scales rippling with cautious interest. And in exchange, Captain? Recognition, Chen said simply. Not just of humanity, but of what we represent. We're proof that humanity once stood among the galaxy's greatest powers. We ask that the Coalition acknowledge this history and grant modern humanity a seat at the table commensurate with their potential, not just their current capabilities. That's a substantial request, Kuleth said warily. You're asking us to promote a species based on ancient history rather than present reality. Emily found her voice. With respect, Ambassador. Is it ancient history when it's standing 8 kilometers long at the edge of your territory? She gestured to Chen's image. The Valiant is proof that humanity's capabilities are real. We're not asking for special treatment. We're asking for honest recognition of what we could become, what we're already starting to remember. The debate raged for 7 hours. Species argued, threatened, and negotiated. Some called for the Valiant to be seized by force, proposals that died quickly when tactical officers explained the likely casualties. Others suggested humanity be expelled from the Coalition entirely, a suggestion that gained no traction once cooler heads prevailed. Finally, a consensus emerged. Humanity would retain its 17 core systems but gain authority over an additional 33 frontier territories. Their military restrictions would be eased gradually, with the Valiant serving as a training vessel for modern human forces. Coalition scientists would work alongside the Valiant's crew to understand and safely integrate their technology. Most importantly, humanity would gain a permanent seat on the Coalition Security Council, the first species to achieve such status in less than 5 centuries of membership. It wasn't everything Chen had hoped for, but it was enough. 3 weeks later, Emily Sato stood in the Valiant's observation deck with Captain Chen, watching as the first group of modern human pilots prepared to train with the ancient fighter craft. They're enthusiastic, Chen observed with a slight smile. Remind me of my first squadron, actually. They have a lot to live up to, Emily said. You've given them a legacy to rebuild. Chen turned to face her. Dr. Sato, we gave them hardware and knowledge. But you and humans like you gave them something more important. You gave them survival. You gave them humility. You gave them a place in a larger community. He extended his hand once more. The past and present of humanity need to work together now. Are you ready for that? Emily took his hand firmly. We've been ready for 800 years, Captain. We just didn't know we were waiting for you. Through the viewport, the stars gleamed eternal and indifferent. But among those stars, humanity was finally reclaiming its place. Not through conquest or domination, but through the careful balance of strength and wisdom, legacy and humility, power and restraint. The galaxy would never see humanity the same way again, and humanity would never forget what it had learned in the darkness. or what it had once been capable of achieving in the light.